Hello, Arthur Offaly speaking on behalf of the Arthur Offaly Foundation, a totally independent victims group with no affiliation to any government agencies or any paramilitaries. It is with total disgust the way that the British government have treated those old people in the care homes. No PPE gear, no ventilators, no nurses. Those old people are paying top price for the care and attention that they expect in those homes. Yet that corrupt British government did not demand the owners of those homes to supply the proper equipment to those old people to keep them safe. Those old people were thrown to the one side with no one to fight their case. Boris Johnson was too busy making sure that the NHS hospitals had all the proper gear, PPE gear, gloves, visors, new gowns, goggles, and left those old people in the care homes to care for themselves. No MPs or MLAs from Westminster or Stormont or any of the media mentioned their plight or offered to help them. The whole country was too busy clapping their hands for those NHS, and Boris Johnson was too busy raising funds to supply the NHS with the proper equipment. Boris and his party should not forget that those old people who have worked all their lives and paid their taxes to the British government are entitled to receive the same care and attention as those in the hospitals. After all, those old people have came through a world war and are entitled to be looked after and not treated like second-class citizens. But, of course, Boris and his ministers would know what a war was like. There is over 32,000 people who have died from the virus, and a large number who died were old people from care homes who got no protection at all from Boris and his ministers or the NHS. They were left to suffer and die from the corrupt British government, and while Boris and his ministers could not make their minds up to what to do, it cost many more innocent lives. And the same thing has happened here in the north of Ireland. That so-called parliament we call Stormont are fighting among themselves while sick people are dying in hospitals and care homes. Care homes have not received any PPE gear or ventilators or goggles, while hospitals in England have received all the protection they need. And our old people are dying every day without any protection at all. And they got no help at all from those so-called politicians in Stormont. God help those old people just sitting there waiting to die. Then you get Boris and his ministers allocating £60,000 to the families of the NHS members who have died. What about those old people who have died in care homes? They were offered absolutely nothing, not one brown penny. And all those 32,000 people who have died were also offered nothing. How can that corrupt Boris Johnson and his ministers make a difference in people? They all died of the same virus, and the government and those who own the care homes should be brought to court and made to pay all those old people who died in care homes compensation for homes that were not fit for purpose. The owners of those care homes were getting £500 to £600 a week from those old people for full board and protection, but they got no protection at all from them. From those care home owners. Both the Westminster government and those of Stormont and those care home owners stood by and done nothing to help those poor senior citizens who died painful deaths from that COVID-19 virus, while the NHS hospitals had ventilators and PPE gear, goggles, masks and all the necessary gear to treat their patients. Why was those old people in care homes made to suffer and got no protection from that NHS, who had plenty of spare gear to spare and never offered to help those suffering old people in care homes? They were left to die. I have spoken to some members of their families, and I have advised them to seek legal advice into the deaths of those of their loved ones, as the British government, those at Stormont, the care home owners and the NHS have all refused to help those old people and turned their backs on them, letting them die in their hundreds without any protection at all. Where was those old people's human rights? Now the NHS got plenty of funding to get ventilators, PPE gear, gowns, goggles and all they needed, and also got help from the British government, while those old people in care homes were treated like second-class citizens. No one was out clapping their hands for them or raising money for them. They died without any protection at all. Now I myself would call that mass murder of our senior citizens. Now the relatives of those old people might have find it hard to get legal people to take their case on in this corrupt country of ours, as the legal system and the court services here are run by the British government, who are their paymasters of both the team. And the corrupt courts, feeling that, I will put, if the corrupt courts do not take their cases on, I will put them in contact with the European Court of Human Rights. I myself have had plenty of experience with the corrupt legal system here and the corrupt court system here for 46 years. I've been fighting the British government and their cohorts from RUC and Sinn Féin to get my father's case to court. So I know these people will find it hard to get them people to court. But we will see what happens. Anyone who would like a tape of this story or any one of my stories can call me on my mobile 077 1592 1137. Leave your name and address and I will send you a tape free. Thank you. Anyone who has a story to tell and wishes me to air it can call me on my mobile 077 1592 1137, or I can send a reporter out to get your story. And remember, I will tell your story as you tell me. Nothing will be cut out. Watch more of my stories on YouTube, ArthurOfferty.com, YouTube Arthur Offerty, Arthur Offerty Docker, YouTube Jackspot 2012. That is a tip about the brutal murder of my father by a 5-man gang of Sinn Féin IRA led by Freddie Scappaticci, all police informers on the orders of the British government, the RUC, PSNI and the Special Branch. Now that Sinn Féin IRA scum Scappaticci carried out their orders on their command. Now my email is arthurofferty1@gmail.com. Thank you for listening, and I hope you people whose old elderly people have died will take their case on and fight their case for them, and the Arthur Offerty Foundation will be 100% behind you. Now have a nice day.